breaking news. Trade war is back, 100% tariff on China, and the stock market was apparently taking a hit earlier while we were having this conversation. It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position in trade, sending an extremely hostile letter to the world. This is about Chinese control over rare minerals. For the record, China recently implemented a new protocol, a new mechanism of control over the rare earth minerals that they play a role in the extraction. Just in 1.65 trillion wiped out from the U.S. stock market today. Awesome. It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world, stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by them. This affects all countries without exception and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. This is because China has damn near monopoly over the extraction, but not necessarily just the extraction, but like the development of rare earth minerals, okay? And that is the reason why Donald Trump is losing his mind. Oh my God, that's such a funny photo for this article. That is such a funny photo of this article. China tightens export controls on rare earth metals. Why this matters. Move is a strategic one ahead of a new round of tricky trade talks with the United States. So they basically floated this when Donald Trump first came out with the big, beautiful tariff negotiations. This is not Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even a shitcoin. It's the S&P 500. I don't know if China would have done this, but yeah, China controls around 70% of rare earth mineral extractions and around 90% of processing. It is as close to a monopoly as you can get. It is unimaginable, okay? The amount of power they have, especially considering that the stuff that you need for everything, okay? This is shit that you need to build anything, okay? Anything. Like your phone or any number of different like defense industry tools, okay? Everything. Because in the words of an incredibly brilliant man, everything's computer, everything's Tesla, everybody transgender. And China has basically said, yeah, everything is computer, as a matter of fact. You're not wrong. We hold all the cards. The new restrictions were announced by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce and come ahead of an expected meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and United States President Donald Trump later this month. The world's two largest economies have been locked in trade negotiations aimed at calming tensions after they raised tit-for-tat tariffs against each other earlier this year, before then agreeing to pull back on some of those levies. Rare earth metals are one of China's major levers of influence with the United States. What has China announced? In announcement number 61 of 2025, China said it was increasing export controls for 5 rare earth metals, in addition to 7 it announced in April this year. Okay, the 5 metals added to the list are holmium, erbium, thulium, europium, and ytterbium. The 7 minerals China placed export restrictions on earlier this year are samarium, gadolinium, terbium, dysprosium, dysprosium. God damn it. Fucking hard as hell to read. Lutetium, scandium, and yttrium. These are 17 rare earth metals in total, and the 15 lanthanides, metallic elements on the periodic table, scandium and yttrium. Oh my God, I'm done reading this. Okay, China has now export restrictions on 12 of them. In addition, on Thursday, China also placed restrictions on the export of specialist technological equipment used to refine rare earth metals. Most of those restrictions will go into effect December 1st. Now, it is pretty funny when Donald Trump will be like, how dare China impose any sort of restrictions on these fucking metals, when for the entirety of our trade partnership with China, we have always enforced not just like direct restrictions from, I don't know, whatever kind of like defense goods or anything that we build that somehow makes its way back to China, but we have made other countries that are under the control of the American security apparatus, we have stopped them from trading certain goods, certain key pieces of technology to China. Okay? It's just, just something to consider. Anyway, to obtain the license, foreign companies must explain the intended use of the product they wish to use the Chinese rare earth metals to make. Now, of course, the saving grace here is China's endless need for trade maxing. The thing about rare earth metals is that they aren't actually rare at all. They're just hard to process. So we've just been coasting off of China without building the tech ourselves for years. Yeah, they're raw earth, not rare. So this in and of itself is certainly a major national security concern for the United States of America. That is, of course, if China doesn't trade max here and decides to shut off the faucet of rare earth metals that are necessary for American defense, for example. So I think this is just more so a posture. I don't believe that China will. This is a response to you forcing Japan, Korea, and the Netherlands to restrict more semiconductor tech exports in September because we are catching up on chip development. You cannot stop us, and you will lose, says Top G. I know, I already brought it up. I already mentioned that. Okay, Top G. It's just very funny for America to be like, how dare they do this to us? Yeah, it's just a point of leverage. Do I believe that China would actually stop the flow of commerce in any meaningful capacity? Do I believe that China will stop its endless need for trade maxing? No, I do not. Way to tell America, like, this is the kind of power that we do have over international trade and international affairs in general, and therefore you should treat us as an equal partner in this endeavor rather than consistently trying to blow up your design of global trade. Your design. Remember, China cited national security interests as the reason for these new restrictions. Rare earth related items have dual use properties for oh my God, this is so American coded in terms of the language being used here. Dual use properties for both civilian and military applications. Implementing export controls on them is an international practice, a Chinese Ministry of Commerce spokesperson told reporters on Thursday. The spokesperson added that certain foreign organizations and individuals have been directly transferring or processing and then transferring controlled rare earth materials originating from China to relevant organizations and individuals directly or indirectly for military and other sensitive applications. There's a real possibility this backfires on China and encourages other countries to invest a lot more in their own processing, just like how chip restrictions inadvertently led China to building its own supply chains before it relied on the West. China may ironically be giving up its leverage if they go through with this. Yeah, that's precisely the reason why I don't think they will go through with this. It's just a point of leverage in the American negotiations because America would not be able to withstand any sort of significant limitation to continuing to get rare earth metals from China. That's it. There's 0% chance, I think, that they would just give up on this monopoly power that they have. I'm even surprised that they would flex this hard. But I suspect that this probably also comes with additional assurances to Western allies of America and not the United States of America that they will continue to do trade in the same exact ways. And this is more so a strategic posture against the United States of America because America is uniquely vulnerable as a direct consequence of its endless greed in the way that it actually designed global trade that was incredibly beneficial for the 80s and 90s boom